It was like a war zone.
So all of a sudden, there were so many patients. Everybody needed medications. Everybody needed treatment.
Those are nurses who worked at the Kirkland, Washington facility where dozens of seniors died from coronavirus. That's perhaps the starkest example of how vulnerable the elderly are right now. And now many of the people who are helping senior citizens, like home health care workers, they're struggling to do their jobs now that the world's been turned upside down. My next guest runs Sunnyside Community Services in Queens, New York, and she's been forced to close down all on-site operations by the directive of the mayor. That means the elderly, as well as other vulnerable populations like people with special needs, could find it more difficult to get the help that they need. Sunnyside works with thousands of people each year, and there are countless facilities just like it across this country that are dealing with similar issues. I want to bring in Judy Zangwill. She's Executive Director at Sunnyside Community Services. For our audience, put a face on the population that you folks care for.
We actually serve about 16,000 people annually, and young people, families, and seniors, and adults.
You know, some people might have learned about Sunnyside from a few pieces in the Times in particular that, to me, put a human face on some of the dilemmas and these horrible choices that are being made. And we know seniors already in everyday life sometimes suffer from isolation and loneliness as well. And these centers are a great, not just place for camaraderie, but for really needed care. And when you had to shut the doors, I can imagine how devastating that must have been for you. What was it like telling people that they couldn't come to the center anymore for what they've basically made a big part of their lives?
Well, I think I said in one of the New York Times article that when I had to tell the seniors, I cried. There were moans, audible moans all over. And we are able to provide a meal, a grab-and-go meal, which really is just a senior coming in. In fact, we do it outside of our doors, grabbing the meal and going home. And so that has been, we're thankful for that, but we suspended all of our activities. And many seniors come to our center and they stay a full day and they have a nutritious lunch and they participate in a variety of activities. And it's an opportunity to socialize. It's an opportunity to establish and deepen friendships. And it really does prevent social isolation, which is so critical.
And just to give an idea on the size of the population, I had no idea, Judy, it was as big, but 1.7 million seniors live in New York, and as a frame of reference, that's bigger than the populations of San Francisco and Boston combined. But a fifth of them, they live in poverty. And there was one story of Cindy Urena, who's a home health aide, that she's put in this situation where when you think about one-on-one and the connectivity, she has a child with epilepsy. She has a child at home, a 7-year-old, but yet she was caring for a patient with an acute case of epilepsy, and she had to make a decision to either leave a child with no one to watch them or to deal with a patient. And these kind of choices are happening all over the place, especially for those who can't always come to the center for the meal. You guys also go out to people and care for them, and that's compromised now because of this virus.
Right. There's a lot of phone calls being made. We have many services for seniors, and many of the services are so people can stay in their homes. And all of those seniors are being called multiple times to just really check in, see how they're doing, what do they need, and also to prevent social isolation. I will tell you that the home health aides are struggling because once the schools closed, childcare did become a real issue. And besides that, in terms of social distancing, that is really not possible in caring for someone who is homebound. So we are now struggling because we, like many others, don't have enough protective gear for our home health aides.
And again, these home health aides, you know much better than I, but they have to take subways or buses, and they're not able to do, as you said, the social distancing that the medical community says they should try to practice. But they're really on the front lines for this. And I was really moved by some of them who don't make a ton of money, still putting their clients and their patients first, even at great expense to them.
Right. I mean, it's really amazing. It's amazing the dedication and commitment. And they don't get paid if they don't work. So it really is a critical situation. I know that recently the city has provided regional enrichment centers and home health aides are included in essential workers. So we're hoping that that will affect some kind of change. I think they just opened this past Monday.
Now, it's not just a meal and it's not just camaraderie. You deal with patients also that have very acute needs, and I can imagine how difficult that is to try and do remotely, or now you're having to enlist the families here to do what the professionals do. Just talk about some of the things that, for the regular person out there who's not involved in your line of work, we can't imagine some of the juggling that's got to be going on right now, now that places like yours have had to shut their doors.
Right. I think that the social isolation is really significant. And so, as I said, we are making phone calls, hoping to prevent that. But we're also finding that there are seniors who are calling us who we haven't served before. And so, for instance, we arrange the delivery of meals to about 1,200 seniors. That number looks like it's going to double, and we are concerned about our capacity. So we are very concerned about gaps in service, and we're trying to fill those gaps as quickly as we can. In fact, we're deploying staff from other departments to assist the staff in those departments.
Well, as they say, sometimes people don't appreciate some of the services until they risk losing them. I'm not saying the population that you serve, but for the rest of us who maybe took it for granted, and now obviously, like so many other things, it's coming to light. But I wish you the best of luck, Judy, on this, and I know that a lot of the work that's being done is unsung, but Lord knows we appreciate it in today's day and age. Thank you so much.
Thank you.